Hi, everybody. A new Hollywood movie is bringing the inspiring story of the Tuskegee Airmen to new generations. It's called Red Tails. During World War II, the Tuskegee Airmen became the first black pilots in the U.S. military. There's a special event planned here in Tampa Bay to honor these men. But before we get to that, here's a clip from the movie.
They got us out here using planes to mop floors, fellas.
Get your head up, son. You're fighter pilots.
Hey, 11 o'clock.
It's military.
Let's give those newspapers something to write about.
We've done every low-down, dirty job you've handed us.
You have not assigned us a single forward mission.
You're just gonna have to suffer a failure.
We have a right to fight for our country, the same as every other American. So you shut us down, or you let us fly.
And joining us in the studio this afternoon, we have the very big honor of having a Tuskegee Airman join us today. We have Daniel Keel, a flight officer with the Tuskegee Airmen, and we also have John Anderson, a local historian. Thank you both for coming in. First of all, Danny, thank you for your service to our country. What were your thoughts as you were watching the movie clip?
Well, my thought was, if a Negro was given the opportunity with a good education and hard work, we could do the job as well as anyone else could.
Tell us what you did what was your role in the Tuskegee Airmen Regiment?
My role in the Tuskegee Airmen, I was the first and only triple-rated flight officer in the entire United States Army Air Force. I received my navigator wings at Hondo, my bombardier wings at Midland, Texas. When we arrived at Midland, Texas, we ran into a lieutenant colonel who didn't like us. When I got my bombardier wings, we were sent to Godman Field. And when we got to Godman Field, they didn't have enough pilots to accommodate all us navigators. So we were sent back to Tuskegee to train to become pilots. But the colonel who was at Midland, Texas didn't like us. So when we were, 27 of us arrived at Tuskegee Army Air Base to train to become pilots, and the colonel made sure that 24 of the 27 of us didn't make it.
So only 3?
Only 3 of us made it.
John, these are such wonderful stories for newer generations to hear. How important is it for folks to really understand the contribution that these men made in our history?
Well, they really represent a great and yet bad chapter in American history. There was this institutionalized segregation. And he was part of the bomber group that, aside from the Red Tails, who went on to become relatively famous here in the United States, it's the bomber group that really formed what we call the Freeman Field Mutiny. It was a peaceful protest that really brought attention to this. And ultimately, in 1949, the military was desegregated, and you really can trace back that event to what these men started.
And it wasn't just the pilots. There were many other folks who were involved.
There were. Well, keep in mind, for every pilot in the air, there's about 30 to 50 ground personnel. And something unique about the Tuskegee men and airmen is that there weren't just pilots. There was ground crew, there was administration, there was all these other support personnel, and they all had to be African-American because it was completely segregated at the time.
So we have the Tuskegee Airmen Symposium that will be happening at the on the February the 9th through the 11th at the Fantasia Flight in Polk City. Thank you so much for being there. First time, you can get your autographs, take your picture with Danny. Here's the information on your screen. If you would like to attend the Legends and Legacies Symposium at the Fantasia Flight in Polk City, it starts February the 9th. It goes through the 11th. And for detailed information on times and topics, please visit them online at fantasyofflight.com.